Hello everyone, welcome to today's Knowledge webinar. Share Grasshopper files online with ShapeDiver. ShapeDiver is an online platform for hosting and sharing Grasshopper files on the web. Designers use it to share parametric models with other non-technical people via a web browser. ShapeDiver has thousands of users worldwide from many industries like AAC, furniture, jewelry, medical, naval, footwear, you name it. And you can use ShapeDiver to create web applications for their Grasshopper files very easily. So stick around. Today's webinar presenter are Edwin Hernandez, who's the head of projects and lead computational designers at ShapeDiver, and Ezequiel Lopez, who is principal and head of marketing and sales at ShapeDiver. And let me just tell you a little bit about Novage. As you know, we're the biggest Rhino resellers in the US, online, of course. And Novage is changing the way designers purchase 3D software, offering more choices, more freedom to choose from different plugins and tools, and best advice, faster service, with zero headaches. So check us out at novage.com. And now, without further ado, I'll share Ezequiel's screen. So take it away.
Perfect. All right. So thank you very much for having us, Barbara. We really appreciate the opportunity. Together with me is Edwin, as you mentioned, and we're going to be alternating between our screens. I will be leading the explanation more on the details of our plans and so showing some client examples, and he'll be highlighting the process, the easy process for designers to create a Grasshopper file that's compatible with ShapeDiver and uploading it to our platform and sharing it in various different ways. All right, so let's get started. So ShapeDiver is an online platform for hosting and sharing Grasshopper files online. As Barbara was mentioning in the introduction, we already have thousands of users, thousands of professionals that have created at least a free account on ShapeDiver and have been exploring the way they can share Grasshopper files online with other non-technical experts. You can view this just like YouTube is a platform for hosting and sharing videos online, and people go to YouTube because YouTube provides the servers and the platform for that process to be very easy. People come to ShapeDiver precisely because of where we would be the reference as an online platform for Grasshopper files. So people come to ShapeDiver because we provide the right technology for them to create online applications that are easily accessible by non-technical experts in many different industries. We have different pricing plans, and we're going to go through them. I mean, here you're having a look at our homepage. We have different explanations of how ShapeDiver works. Why ShapeDiver to begin with? We give a brief explanation on what Grasshopper is, why it's such a powerful application that everybody should know about. How it works with preparation, which is what Edwin will go through today. He's going to go through preparing the file, uploading it to ShapeDiver, setting up the scene, etc., etc. And then we're going to show some examples, some of our clients. We have here our clients, and then finally we're going to go through all of our plans. So that's what we're going to close up with that one, and hopefully there's going to be some questions from the audience that we can provide some answers to. So without further ado, Edwin, let's jump right into the setting up of the model. So Barbara, if you could switch the screen to Edwin so he can get started.
Sure.
Okay, hello everyone. Do you see my screen?
We do.
Okay, perfect. So as Ezequiel mentioned, I'm the lead parametric designer and the head of projects at ShapeDiver. And well, today we will prepare a very simple model and put it into ShapeDiver. So to begin with, we have to know that ShapeDiver doesn't depend on any plugin. So even though we have a plugin, you don't need to use it for ShapeDiver to work. So let's just create something very simple. So we can go here to the Surface tab, Primitives, Domain Box, for example, and then we can add some sliders. So if we go here to Params, Inputs, and then we add some number sliders, then we can just create 3 of these sliders. And then let's say that we want to do a solid difference between this one and some sphere, for example. We create this sphere, we create another slider, and finally we're going to do an intersection. So here we have the intersections section, and then here we have solid difference. So if we do this, then we get the final result. We can see here. Now, something that is very important in ShapeDiver is that everything that has preview on will be displayed in ShapeDiver. So that means if I right click here, you can see that we have the preview on. All of this has preview on. So that means that, as you can see here, even in Rhino, there is this flickering star face because there are two objects that are conflicting when rendering. So if you don't want that to happen, but you just want to show the final result, then you will hide everything else. So everything that is preview on will be shown. Even a point can be shown in ShapeDiver, a curve, everything. So make sure to preview off always any geometry that you don't want to show. Okay, so what if okay, now that we have this model, very simple model, now we can upload this to ShapeDiver. We don't need to do anything else. So I can just save it as a test, and then we go to ShapeDiver. So here I am in shapediver.com/app. Here, if you go into browse more models, you can see models of public models of other users. If you are interested, right now I'm not logged in. So if I need to log in, here I have the login section. I can log in either with Google, Apple, Magnil, or directly. And if you are not yet registered, you can register here. All of this is for free. And as you can see, it's just a couple of steps and you are good to go. So here I'm gonna log in and get started with the upload. So when I log in, then I get this upload option. So I just click in upload, and then I just need to go to the download section, where I will store my file. Then I just need to do a drag and drop. That's it, drag and drop. I just took my Grasshopper file and I just drop it into the ShapeDiver platform. Now this will process, our servers will process your model to make sure that everything is okay. Now it is ready, we can open it. And that's all. So here we have exactly the same that we had in Grasshopper. Now we have it here on the web. Everything that you have as parameters gets translated into HTML parameters. So here we have sliders all over. So if I change any of these sliders, then you can see how that starts to change the model here also in our viewer. Of course, the rendering is different because the viewer that you have in Grasshopper is Rhino, whereas here we have a WebGL viewer. So the rendering will differ. However, by out of the box, you can tweak a little bit. You can play with the setting up of your scene. So here in this section, we have all parameters, the parameter section. But here in this section, we have all the settings that you can work with to be able to set up this model. So for example, here we have the scene settings. So I can hide or show this grid that you see here in the ground. Also hide or show the ground, change the grid and ground plane colors. You can show or not the shadows, ambient occlusion. We have also some advanced rendering. This is mainly if you start to use materials or if you want to set up augmented reality, which is also out of the box with ShapeDiver, then this one will be very important, but for now, we will not check that. Now you can also change your lighting. So for example, here we have a directional light, 2 directional lights, but I can also add more. So I can have, for example, here is this an ambient light. I can rename it, I can delete it, and I can set up all what I want. So here we have ambient light, directional light, hemisphere light, etc. Change the colors, and in that way you have all the lighting exactly as you would like it to be. Then camera. So we have the default perspective camera, but we also support orthographic camera. So if you go, we can go to top view, so completely, let's say 2D view instead of a perspective of the top. Then we have it to the bottom, and all the other parts, you have them there. So you can also have, let's say, a 2D application if you want to just focus in the 2D dimension. Let's go back to perspective. Then we have the environment. So here we can set up the background color, the background alpha. This is important if you want to then embed or show this model in another website, which we will check later. And if you want to show or not an environment around it. So we have here some default environments, which also affect the lighting. So be careful about it, because these environments can affect the lighting. But here you can just play with them and find the right one for you. This is also important, especially when you have reflective materials, because this environment map is what gets reflected out of those materials. Additionally, you can also have some custom environment if you need. Then we have AR. So AR is out of the box already with ShapeDiver and completely free to use. So if I want to see this in AR, I can go to my phone. I will see an AR option here, and then I can just click on it. And in Android or iOS, I can get my model in AR. Here, the only thing that you need to set up is the dimension of this model, so that when the user opens this in AR, the size of it, the dimensions of it, make sense. So here you can see that is 0.43 meters, but if you know that it's a house, or if you know that it's a small object, then you will set up the right dimension unit so that you can get the right scale. And finally, we have these settings, which we will be checking in a little bit when I upload another model. So that's all regarding this part. Now, this model is very simple. So let's go for something a bit more complicated. This one was just to demonstrate how simple it is to just upload a model to ShapeDiver. You don't need any plugin. You just need to use Grasshopper as you normally do and to upload to ShapeDiver. Now, here we have a bit more complicated model, but it's still quite simple. It's just a table which has some polygonal shape. So you can define the radius of that polygon, the number of segments. You can define here, for example, we have a value list. And with this value list, you can define some materials of this table. You can have also a color swatch and define the color of this table. And all of this is compatible with ShapeDiver. So you will get also a drop down in ShapeDiver. You will get a color picker in ShapeDiver, as well as the sliders that we already checked. You can also get toggles and other native Grasshopper inputs. However, if you want to expand the power of your Grasshopper file online through ShapeDiver, then is when you will want to introduce the ShapeDiver plugin, because here we offer a lot of new inputs that you can have. So, for example, direct text input, where you can directly send text to the Grasshopper model. So if you want to display here your name, or if you need any kind of text, you can put this here, and now this will show as a text input in ShapeDiver. We have also, if you want to import images, if you want to import geometry, and if you want to import text, but as files. So, for example, if you have a database, you can also import it. In this case, we are using this example, which is a combination of the ShapeDiver text input, in which the users can upload a custom shape using a URL, or upload the shape directly using a file. So we will check this in a little bit when we upload to ShapeDiver. And then on the other side, after all of this gets processed, so for example, here we have the tabletop. Here is where I create the tabletop. Here is where I create the legs. Then we have the displays. So this is the ShapeDiver display, which you can find in the display section. You have the ShapeDiver displays. We have way more other options, but we will not cover them today. And we have this preset material option, which is what you see here in this value list. You see all of these numbers, 0 to 100, 0 to 100. Those are presets. In case you don't know anything about texturing, in case you don't know anything about texture mapping, about texturing. Texture mapping is important, but textures. If you want to display wood, if you want to display metal, if you want to display gold, any of these materials that you see here, they are already in our servers. So you just need to send that preset index, and then you will just get finally the result with whatever material we have as default. So that's the preset material. If you want a more precise material that you create by yourself, then you will go for the other options. For example, the ShapeDiver material, where you can define exactly the color map that you want. So you just send a URL with the texture that you want, metalness, and other options that we have here, which you can learn more in our YouTube channel or in other webinars that we have done. You can learn more about these other components in detail. Finally, here we have an export.
Just adding here, Edwin, that we're going to link
Yep.
on the description below. We're going to add the links to the other webinars we've done in the past. So just make sure to check them out.
Correct. So all of this, as you can see, is a wide overview of the plugin. Any details on it you can find in our other plugins and in our YouTube channel, etc. So here now we are in the export section. So as well as you can get information inside, you can get also information outside of Grasshopper. So in this case, this is in the output section. So we already checked inputs, we already checked the display, and now we're in the outputs. And in the output, you can find this download export, which is what we have here. And with this one, you can just send the data here and the options, which the options is which format do you want this export in. So for example, here I have a step export, but we have lots of other options. So in the outputs, you can see 3DM, 3DS, a drawing will be a DXF or DWG file, FBX file, etc. So all of these, even PDF, which you can generate also through our plugin. Then you can export that through ShapeDiver. We will check how that looks in a bit, and then the name of the file. So how the file is going to be named. Additionally, in the latest version of ShapeDiver plugin, if you right-click on this component, you can export locally this file, so you can test locally how it will be the result in ShapeDiver. Finally, here we have also this example for export for outputting data. And in this case, just as an example, I'm saying, okay, I have this geometry, my tabletop, and I want to know how big it is, so the area of it. And I want to output this information so that I can use it, for example, for pricing calculation. So maybe my pricing is based on the amount of square meters that I have in my table. So in that case, I can output information through the ShapeDiver data output component. Also here in the output section, and here we have the direct data output component. And this component allows us to output information mainly as text format. But you can output almost anything as text format. So for example, if I put box domain, I could also export this one. It's just that you just have to be careful, because that doesn't mean that I'm gonna send a box. That means that I'm gonna send the description of a box. Just as an example, I will use this JSON section, even though we're not gonna explain it that much in depth right now. But here, if I do this, you will see that my box gets converted into a text format, which with a description. So what is the plane of my box and what are the extensions? So you can also send more complex information, but in this case, you are just sending the area, which you can access via ShapeDiver later on. So now that everything has been explained regarding this model, let's upload it to ShapeDiver and let's see how it looks there. So if we go back here into ShapeDiver, I click again into upload, and then I'm gonna go to this file. So here we have it then it will process again whatever we created and let it load. Here we're also checking if you have any custom scripts. So for example, we support C# scripts, Python scripts, Visual Basic scripts. It's just that we need to check if they are there, because if they are custom, we need to manually check them. So here we are ready. and you will see already some differences. Now we have some material here, which looks a bit weird, let's say, because right now everything is metallic, but we will see how we can change this. And now also we can see that something has changed here, and is that even though we have lots of parameters, we can just see these 3 groups here. And that's because in Grasshopper, you can define already groups for your parameters. So for example, here I have grouped this into the legs group. So you can see here legs. I have grouped this into the table group. So here we can see this is table, this is legs, and this is material. So we have 3 groups. And inside these groups is where the final parameters are. So we can in that way have a bit more of control of how these parameters get displayed in ShapeDiver. Additionally, let's say, okay, I want users to first go with table, but then I want them to actually go to legs and then materials. So I want to reorder it. So with this, I can actually drag it down and I can reorder my parameters. The same inside of it, I can also drag my parameters up and down and reorder them. I can also edit the name of it. So if I click on this edit button, I can edit the name of it. I can hide them or show them. So for example, something is just for my internal use. I don't want final users to be able to use them. And I can just hide the parameter with this option. And in that way, I have more control over what my users can do with the final model that I'm gonna offer them. So here into materials is where we can check this now metallic material. And that's because we are sending the preset material. So this material is in our servers, that is 0301, which means use metal. But here, for example, let's say that I want the tabletop to be a natural oak. Then you can see it already comes with all what is necessary to make it look as realistic as possible. So you can see how the light even affects it. So it is a bit more rough in some sections than in others. So it gives more realism to the final result. And we can do the same with the legs. So here we can go, for example, for premium oak, another wood. But of course, you can see that there is plenty of options. So even fabric, which wouldn't make sense in this case, but just for you to see some different options. Even glass here we have. If we want some glass, so we can manage the transparency of those materials. And let's go back to something. Actually, that one doesn't make that much of sense. Let's go to natural oak. Okay. So let's say that we want that to be our default. So anything that you change here is going to be the default parameters that will be used when the user opens your model in ShapeDiver. We already explained all of
I would like to emphasize here, Edwin, obviously these are the materials we have out of the box, right?
Yeah.
We welcome, we invite, we encourage our users to actually learn about texture mapping, to learn about texturing, to learn about all the maps, normal maps, roughness maps, metalness maps, because those are actually the secret to make the rendering as lifelike as possible, right? So as Edwin was mentioning, we provide these settings for anyone who just wants to get started. But in reality, the recommendation, the ShapeDiver recommendation, is to produce your own rendering via the tools that we provide. And we have some video tutorials on that as well. We're going to make sure to add those tutorials in the video description. If you have any questions in our forum, you can also ask questions, and our developers will make sure to answer those questions for you.
Correct. So here, just to emphasize, there is a component for you to create the material. And as you can see, we have all of the different inputs that you normally would require to create the specific material that you want. So here it is, but this is just for people that want to have something that looks good as quick as possible and don't think about these materials, these preset ones. Okay, so these are our inputs, but we saw that we also had some outputs, no? And that's this new tab that we see here. Before we didn't have this new tab in the previous example that we showed because we didn't have any exports. But now with this tab, now we get all of our exports here. So in this case, we have the download table, which is exactly the name that I put here. So these names are important because all of these names are what gets shown in ShapeDiver. And then here I can directly download. So let's make a different, something different. So let's say I make number of segments 8, and I make the radius bigger. Then I can come here, download the model. It says processing export. And then when it is ready, then we can get the export and open it. Now, while that gets open, I want to check also this import component. So we had already checked that here in our model, we had added these two, upload shape URL and upload shape. So this one that you see here is the import geometry. It's here, import geometry. It's also something that gets shown in our parameters in ShapeDiver. So if we come back here, we can say upload shape and upload shape URL. So here you just put a URL, a publicly available URL where this shape is available. So in this case, for this particular model, for this particular component, we are accepting. If you right click on this component, you can see which formats are accepted. In this case, it says DXF OBJ file. This one is because this component is compatible with Rhino 6 and 7, so you can see in the description. If you have an account, so by default your accounts are going to be in Rhino 6 in ShapeDiver, but if you have an account that is Rhino 7, which you can ask us, you can contact us if you need this account in Rhino 7, then the Rhino 7 account is able to support basically all of the formats that Rhino itself supports, because we can do this with the new headless way of doing it with Rhino 7. With Rhino 6 it was not possible, but with Rhino 7 is now possible. So that's why there is a difference in this component in particular. So I put it here with the Rhino 6, just in case some of you still use Rhino 6, then you can use this model on test it yourselves. But just for you to know that all of these formats are available. So if I come back into ShapeDiver, then I can send the URL, or I can click here. That was this other one that we had, and then here I'm actually have some. Let me go to this same folder here, and then here I have some examples. So let's go example 1. Here it's loading. And then we have some random shape. So it's just a DXF file where somebody draws something, and then we can put that inside Grasshopper and then process it. Here I can put another example 2. This one is a star, for example. So it's a complete custom shape. So you
This is a great way for clients, for end users to draw something and give it to the manufacturer, and then the manufacturer can immediately input that into the Grasshopper file. The Grasshopper file does the heavy work, right? That's why we love Grasshopper, super powerful platform or software. And yeah, like Edwin is showing, it's extremely simple, and the applications are endless.
Correct. And you can also test that locally. So here I can use the file path component, select one existing file, then I can go to that same folder and then do the same, connect that into this import geometry component, and then if I check my table, I get the exact same result. So you can of course test what is going to happen. No, it's a generic solution, so you need to be able to control any shape that the user sends you in this particular example. So you have a lot of freedom there, but as I said, this is a DXF file, but we support any other format. So you could import BWraps, you could import meshes through OBJ files, or BWraps through 3DM files. All of this is possible, and you can do it directly in ShapeDiver. And then again, here I could go directly to outputs and download this model. It gets processed, it gets exported, and then you can open it. In here, this other one that we had done should be ready. And then here we have it as BWraps, because that was how we exported as BWraps. We have our table, and then from there you can send this, as Ezequiel mentioned, to the manufacturer, and then the manufacturer can do whatever he needs with this. It could be even, we have some examples where users can have created complete automated nested files where you can directly send this to production. So we have here now the parameters for inputs, exports for outputs, and the only thing that we have here left is how to share this model, because okay, I have this model, but now I want to share it with somebody. So we have here some options. Well, first option is just images. If you want to put some images into your model, you can upload some images. For example, so some reference images of what this model was intended for. Sharing, well, actually that one is a different one that we're not going to cover today. Embedding. Embedding is mainly for users that want to directly embed the model. We're not going to cover this directly today, but here you can see the only thing that you need is two things. This section is a JavaScript code that you can get the documentation in help.shapediver.com of how all of this is done, and then just these 3 lines of HTML, and then with that you can get your models directly embedded. However, this is not the simplest way of doing it with ShapeDiver if you want to get your models inside your website. So I just need to click here into save. So let's say this is the final result that I want as default. And then it's gonna get saved. I go exit. And then here I will get this option called iframe. And the iframe is the simplest way you can get your model into your website. So if you want to sell these tables, well, maybe highly probable you don't want to sell these tables directly to ShapeDiver.com, but you want your users to go directly to your website and find this model there and change it and do all what they need to do. And for that, you just need to go here into iframe and copy. It says just here, copy iframe code. Then you go to your website, go to the HTML section of your website, just paste it. So here you can see it's a white page, and then when you paste it, it will load here directly. Everything comes already as it was in ShapeDiver. You get all of these menus already there. And there is when it gets convenient what I showed, that you want to hide some parameters or you want to rename them, reorder them. So here the users, of course, don't have those options because those options are for you, the creator of this model. But that's how you will build the experience of the user through ShapeDiver. So if now you decide, no, I want materials to go first, then you can go to ShapeDiver, change that in ShapeDiver, and then it will get reflected automatically wherever you put this model. Now we have also some options here out of the box where you can define how this iframe looks, because maybe your logo or your brand has different color palette. So let's say we want actually this to be a bit of green with, let's say, a dark blue. And then if we copy this iframe and we paste it again here, then that will directly get reflected into our user interface. So you can give a bit of uniqueness to this user interface. Also background color, all of this can be set up so you can end up with the specific way as you want to show your model. So let's leave one. So you can see now is this red background, and that's it. Something very important when you are putting these models into an external website through an iframe or through direct embedding is that you need to make sure that your model is whitelisted. So that means wherever you are uploading these models, so in this case I'm uploading it to codepen.io, this should be in my account section. So if I go here into my account settings, then we have here domains, and then here we define all the domains where we want our files to be shared. So for example, here we have cdpn.io, that's the short name for codepen.io, and that's why I am allowed to put it here. If I were to remove it, then if I reload this, actually, let's reload it through here. Should reloading a bit. Okay, let me check. This needs to, okay. Let me put it again. Then it says that is not allowed. So that's very important for you to know. No, you need to make sure that all of your websites are whitelisted here. That this is how you protect that people are not going to embed your model wherever they want. And I think that's all, Ezequiel, all the overview.
Yeah, I think you should show, for example, I mean, we were mentioning there are multiple ways of sharing the Grasshopper model. The first would be obviously through the ShapeDiver platform, right? So if Edwin would make that table a public model, I think you left it as a private model, no? So maybe you can show first making it public. So if a model is public, then that URL that automatically gets generated with every one of your Grasshopper models, then that URL can be sent via an email, a tweet, a LinkedIn post, an email, and anyone with that link will be able to arrive to shapediver.com and use this configurator as it is, if it's a public model. And free accounts are able to do this without any problems. So as long as you make your model public, you can share these models with anyone around the world just by sending them the link, and they would arrive here to this exact page, and they would be able to use the parameters. And depending on if you have a paid plan, then they would be able to export. We're gonna go through the pricing real quick in a little bit. So the first way would be to share the model directly on shapediver.com via a public link. But if you make it a private link, so if you make it private, we have a couple of ways in which you can also share your model if you have one of our paid accounts. The first one would be link sharing. So if Edwin, if you click there in link sharing and you save it, and then you exit and you go to the main viewing model.
Yeah.
Then on the link on the right-hand side, on the bottom side, there's going to be a special obfuscated URL that can be sent to anyone around the world as well. And as long as they have this specific obfuscated URL, they should be able to view the model as well. So this is a way for you to have a little bit more privacy. But for this, you need any of our paid accounts. Even the more affordable one also includes this type of link sharing. And besides this, we have other ways that we're not going to cover today, but you can always contact us if you are interested. We have many other ways of sharing models inside the platform with other ShapeDiver users, right? Because we have organizations that have more than one Grasshopper developer, and each of the developers have their own ShapeDiver account. So we created a very safe way for members within an organization to share models within themselves, but obviously you need one of our paid accounts. So the platform, as I was mentioning, is the first way in which you can share models, either publicly or privately, like we just showed. The second way would be via the iframe. And maybe Barbara, if you could already switch the screen so I can share it. So
Sure.
Here I am. Perfect. Thank you. So can you confirm if you're seeing my screen?
How it works?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Fantastic. So then first I'm going to show you an example of an iframe being used in the real world. This is a client from us in Portugal. They do customized surfboards, very cool project. We're actually filming a promo video during this summertime. We're going to share it in a couple of weeks. But they manufacture these surfboards custom using CNC processes. And here you can see how they're using the iframe methodology to embed a ShapeDiver model of the surfboards with, and via the text input that Edwin was showing, I can, for example, specify what type of file export I want. Here I can type my name, my email address, etc., etc. Then I can start playing around with the different parameters of the surfboard, and here playing with all these things. So the nose, I want it round, and then once I go through all of this process, then I can go to the export tab and send them an email. So this button, instead of me as a user downloading the production file, it actually sends an email to the company with all of the data that I just used, including the production file. So they receive that email very easily, and they're able to contact me back and continue the sales process. So this is super simple, and it's a great way, almost zero web development knowledge knowledge, as Edwin was showing. It's super simple to do the iframe embedding. Literally takes 5 seconds to copy paste that link. So this would be the second way in which you could share ShapeDiver models. So this is already directly on your website. Like this, we have plenty of product designers around the world who trust Grasshopper and now are able to use ShapeDiver as an online platform for creating configurators and start selling their skills as Grasshopper developers. So this would be the iframe.
Correct.
The second way,
just one thing, the sent email, I mean, we didn't cover that in the Grasshopper section, but in the Grasshopper plugin of ShapeDiver, there is a component for export via email. So all of this is set up also via the Grasshopper model. So all of this is, as Ezequiel mentioned, you don't need any extra code. You do it directly in Grasshopper.
Exactly. And the client, in this case, these guys from Web Shaping Bay, they specify the email to which they want to receive this data, right? So they already have, okay, I wanted to receive to sales@webshapingbay.com. So every time a client clicks on this send email, then they receive all this data with their client's information. So this is the iframe. This is the second way. Now let's explore the more complex way. And you know, this is called direct embedding, and you then have access to our API, to our viewer API. I'm going to start explaining these concepts real quick. But this third option is requires web development knowledge, right? Just with Grasshopper knowledge and ShapeDiver won't be enough. Like basically, if you don't know web development, then you should either work with a partner that knows web development, or you should just stick to the iframe because that's the best way to get ShapeDiver. But if you say, okay, what if I have a very specific way of interacting with my model? What if I want to connect ShapeDiver to a payment platform, an e-commerce platform such as WooCommerce, Shopify? All of these things are possible with the third way called direct embedding, right? So we're going to start with something really simple that always gets the point across, and we're going to go with ShapeLamp. ShapeLamp is a client from us from Malta, and like Edwin was saying, our export abilities of our Grasshopper plugin allows for exporting nested production files. These nested production files are practically ready to be sent to the CNC cutter because they include layers and colors that tell the machine where to cut through, where to cut meat, where to do chamfers, and all these things. So here we have this lamp. And this lamp, the ShapeDiver viewer, if you see my cursor here, is going to be this here. This is the ShapeDiver viewer. That would be like the bottom layer of the website. Then the top layer of the website is this user interface over here. And it's a normal user interface that any web developer can create. It's just HTML buttons, CSS, a little bit of that to give you a little bit of style. But then it's communicating with our viewer via our viewer API. So for example, here I have these points that I'm able to move, right, to influence the shape of this lamp, right? Hence the name of the company. So every time I'm moving a point here, this is generating a JSON data structure that is sent via the API to the model, and the model was created in such a way for it to receive JSON data points as coordinates for the shape to be created here. So here, for example, another important point is that data of pricing is updated in real time. So the less wood I need, the lower the price. You can see here we went as low as 175, but if I make a very big lamp over here, then the price will increase accordingly because the Grasshopper model is telling the website how much wood is needed for this configuration. And here I have specific buttons that can help me change whether go from curvy to pointy, the density of the columns, all of these things. And then finally, I can add it to the basket. So if I click add to the basket, then this will start the process of extracting the production files and taking the next steps and collecting my payment information for ShapeLamp to receive the money and then produce the lamp that I just designed, right? So this would be a great way to understand how the API can help brands create a super unique way of controlling the Grasshopper files. When the ShapeDiver iframe is not enough, because you have a very specific way of controlling how your model should be configured, then you need the API and you need a little bit of web development. Again, this is really not the most complicated part. 95% of the product logic is taken care of by the Grasshopper file. the website is important, but in our opinion, it's something that it's the least complicated, because there's a lot of professionals out there that already know how to make great websites. And when you pair it with our documentation, like Edwin was saying earlier, all of our documentation is on help.shapediver.com. If you go to the viewer side and you give this to your web development partner, they will be able to navigate through all of the options that our API provides for them. Right. So now I want to show. So I asked Barbara before we started the webinar today, what are the most requested, or the industries that contact knowledge the most? And she mentioned product design, jewelry, architecture. So we're going to go real quick through some of these examples. And again, these links will be provided in the description below the video. So make sure to check them out. So we're going to jump into one of our bigger clients. They are from they're from Italy, 25. They sell custom jewelry, and they've been able to drastically and massively grow the offering that they have in terms of custom products, because they're 100% using Grasshopper and ShapeDiver to create super cool offerings of their jewelry. So here, for example, I have a ring that I can write any type of text, and it's going to create a perfectly rounded ring connecting all the text. So here, for example, I can write rhino, right? And immediately, in a few seconds, the Grasshopper file will generate a ring with rhino there, right? And I can do the same thing here. I can change, instead of a ring, I can go for a necklace, for example. I'm not sure if it's going to save the text. Hopefully it saves the text. There you go. Yeah, rhino right there, right? So all of this is possible in a few seconds because of Grasshopper. And again, they are connected. Here I can go through different finishing options, different sizes, and all these things. And again, this is connected to a payment system that collects my payment information before generating the production file. We have a case study on Nove. They are seeing great results for using ShapeDiver. The time they needed to produce custom orders was reduced drastically. And I highly encourage you, anyone in the jewelry industry, to go through that case study, as really the combination of Grasshopper and ShapeDiver has provided great results for Nove. Now I'm going to show the next one is for the architects. So these guys are one of our oldest clients, and they're a German company that they do like garden sheds and like small cabins and all these things. It's a very simple example. We have a more complex example that if we have enough time, we're going to show it as well. But here you have again the ShapeDiver viewer, and on the bottom part you can see a UI with 5 different steps, right? So here I'm just going to fly through the options. So here, for example, I start first with the shape of the shed. So if I want columns, if I don't want columns, how I want the roof, if I wanted, like the typical with a break in the middle, or just slanted like this. Then if I want the roof to extend on certain sides, so if I want it to be on the left, or on the back and on the front, for example. So here I click on those buttons and I can extend the roof. Then the dimensions here, for example, if I want it to be, 6 meters instead of 4.5, so that's going to update the thing. And then this is a super interesting way of approaching adding new windows and doors. So here, if I quickly go back to the 3D view, you can see that there are no doors, no windows on both of these sides, right? But if I switch to the 2D view, now I have this option here. I'm going to add a door there, boom, and a window there, boom, bam, right? And now I'm going to go back to the 3D view, and now we can see that we have these 2 objects that were just added to the 3D model. And again, this is possible because the Grasshopper file is powering the whole logic. Now here I can change the material if I wanted to, and then at the end I have this summary of what I just chose, the details, and at the same time the price has been updating as I was moving through the different options. So this is an example for the architecture. And now I would like to know, Barbara, do you think we have time to go through a couple more examples?
You actually do, because I didn't get any question, but I got a comment saying, please keep going. We want to see more.
All right.
So.
Fantastic. So maybe if you can now switch to Edwin's, and Edwin, you can now show one of the latest projects we built.
Okay, right away.
Okay, you see the screen?
Do.
Okay, perfect. So this one It's like similar to what Ezequiel just showed, but with the big difference that it has a lot of interactions with the model directly. So here, if I hover over these different parts, so the different windows and doors, you can see that they change of color. So they indicate that I'm over it. So all of these you can do through our API. And then additionally to that, I can drag this, and then I am able to position it wherever I want. So here, when I drop it, then it goes back into Grasshopper, and then it brings back the result. Now, another thing is that this dragging is not just free, so it doesn't happen just freely, but there are some constraints. So you can see, first of all, you can see here, let's say free dragging, but when I go close here, it snaps. So we have some snapping lines happening there. So it helps the user to keep the window aligned, let's say in the same height. It could be also It could be also the same here. Yeah. So here you can see it helps to the user to keep the window aligned down and aligned in this direction, but you can also go out of this snapping and put it wherever you want. That's up to the user. It's just a way to help them navigate the model. And then we can also see that when we go outside of this wall, then it goes red. And that's because in Grasshopper, we have developed an algorithm to be able to give the user the limits of it. So here, this is just a rectangle, and we just offset it. But there is this model can actually have plenty of shapes in each side. So this gets applied to every single side. So for example, here the dormer is a triangle actually. And then we have the same kind of thing. So it gives us red when it's outside of the limits. There is always some limit. So you can see you cannot get that close there, because then of course it's not going to be able to be built. So we can give all of these geometry constraints when we are building our house. And additionally to that, you have, of course, the regular things here. You can change the size of it. It automatically also repositions everything else. You have the material section as well. So you can also change any materials that you want here. And you can add new options as well. So this is when you move around the model, you can see that there is this green line appearing around the walls. That's because this green line means I'm focusing on this wall. So I know where I'm gonna add stuff. So for example, here I'm in the door section, and let's say I want to add a door there. So I check which double doors they offer. Or here, let's go for a single door, and let's go for example, this first one. So I can just click on add. And the Grasshopper model also has an algorithm to find the an available spot in the wall. So if we had here several doors, windows, etc., then it will always find a place. If there is no place, the user will also get a message saying there is not enough space in this wall for your options. So you either need to make your shed bigger or to remove other options. And these ones you can also, of course, drag. And also when I click on these options, so let's drop it there. And then when I click on it, I also get some additional options here. So for example, I can change the door orientation. So when I click on it, it immediately mirrors it, because basically it's just to which direction the door orientation is, and whether it opens inside. So you can see there is also a little detail there where it goes inside or outside. I can also change here other things like the handle. And different models have different options. So for example, for this particular window, we have shutters or flower boxes. So if I add the flower box here, for example, then we will get that detail down here. But technically, this model, actually what we are seeing right now here are 6 Grasshopper models. This is not just one Grasshopper model, but 6. And that's the beauty of ShapeDiver, that you cannot just interact with one Grasshopper model, but with several Grasshopper models in the same viewer. So here we have 6 Grasshopper models that are completely independent, but they communicate between each other. So the doors is one Grasshopper model, the windows is another Grasshopper model, the flower box is another Grasshopper model, the building itself is another Grasshopper model, the environment is another Grasshopper model, and there is other for sliding doors and other options that they have, which they are not right now in this particular model. Um, but yeah, all of these get separated for optimization reasons, because that means that I can, for optimization, and also for to be able to update these models very easily, because that means if I need to make a change in the doors for some reason, I need to add a new door type, or I need to do anything what I need, then I just need to focus in the Grasshopper model of the doors, and I don't need to touch at all the building model. So it is easy to have, for example, teams, one focus on the doors, one focus on this, and then in ShapeDiver is where everything comes together to interact between each other. Now, this is just one building, but actually the Summerwood offers lots and lots of buildings. All of them is always the same 6 Grasshopper models, but all of the parameters allow them to be able to have so much freedom. So it's always the same 6 Grasshopper models, one for doors, one for windows, etc. But with lots of parameters for them to be able to interact with them. So for example, here pool houses, and you can create all of these houses with those Grasshopper models.
Yeah,
Okay.
easily, I think this is one of the most complete projects we've ever built. We were involved in the development, but that doesn't mean that any other Grasshopper team is not able to do this as well. So we have enough documentation, and we provide enough free support for teams that are experienced, for them to build this type of configurators. Of course, you need a highly capable web development team as well, because as we've been explaining, ShapeDiver shines because of the Grasshopper and the API side of things, right? So ShapeDiver is a two-sided thing. One is controlled by Grasshopper, and another one is controlled by web technologies. So I think this is it. We're approaching the time limit. Barbara, are there any questions? Otherwise, we can give some closing remarks.
No questions so far. I think everybody's speechless.
All right. A little bit of a shy audience. So in reality, so we highly advise anyone to go through the ShapeDiver on our pricing. So that's something we kind of, maybe you can go to shapediver.com/pricing, Edwin. So we can I can just jump right in. Yeah. So here you can see that we have actually 5 type of plans: a free, Designer Plus, business, and enterprise. So anyone can create a free account today. The limits of each account are perfectly detailed on the comparison table below. If you can scroll down a little bit, Edwin, to the comparison table there. So there we have all of the technical details that each of our plans have. So depending on what you need for your application, if you need different types of computation time, computation priority, we have a lot of traffic on your website, we have the right plan for you, right? We highly encourage you to create a free account, to follow our free resources on help.shapediver.com, on our YouTube channel. We have a forum where we provide free support as well. And if you have a specific project you would like to talk about with us, you can use the contact button on our website. And that will put you directly in contact with me, and we can obviously happily discuss any of the projects you might have. We help with highly complex Grasshopper development, but it's absolutely not needed at all that you talk to us. You can go and work at your own pace using the resources, and yeah, hopefully ShapeDiver is a tool that can help automate a lot of different processes involved in sales and production. We already have hundreds of happy clients and thousands of users on our platform. So yeah, we thank you, Barbara, for this time that you provided us, and for hosting us on your channel. And any questions that the audience has, they can reach us, as I mentioned, in any of the links that we just mentioned. We're going to have all of these links down in the description below, including, we're going to include maybe the Grasshopper file, Edwin, that you just showed.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right, we're gonna send you, Barbara, all of these details. You can add it into the description.
That would be fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm going to take the screen back. It was so informative and entertaining. And I want to remind you about Noveg. Where else are you going to get your Rhino? Let's face it. And I also want to let you know that Noveg is changing the way designers purchase 3D software, offering all the choices and the freedom to mix and match. And we're always available on the phone for you. So give us a call and check out noveg.com. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great rest of the day, and till the next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.